So what I'm going to say is we just want to turn the basic transaction, which is handing over your cash or giving your credit card, into a memorable interaction. Not for everywhere, but at least on a revolving, returning basis, the chance to watch a demonstration. So you're not just buying food, you're actually watching people make a gin sling, you're actually watching people cook tom yam soup, actually watching people put it together, and then they say to you, okay sir, have a try, see if you can do it. Stay with us for 10 minutes, see if you can make a really good soup. Here's the ingredients, off you go. Suddenly you've got 20 people crowded around watching, going, oh, look at that idiot, he's Australian, he can't make that sort of soup, of course he can't. And so you get this involvement, you give people an opportunity to participate. You may have all these wonderful clothes, but there they are, all just in racks. So you can have a mini fashion parade. And there's all these local people who could participate in this. It's only for a small number of dollars. I'm sure there's 100 young female and male students at the universities around Singapore who for a few extra dollars wouldn't mind spending 2 hours every month being in a fashion parade, because it's just fun. Just ordinary people wearing the clothes. People go, that looks good, gee, that looks good, as opposed to it being on a hanging rack which nobody looks at. So, interaction. It might be someone having a pantomime, an old-fashioned pantomime. It might be a comedy routine where you've got a couple of people joking around. It might be an artisan, a person who's working on something, crafting something. Another kind of performer, maybe a musician. You might meet an author. I know that Borders does this a bit, but you can really do this in a lot of different places. See key people using products. So it's not just a product for sale, it's the engagement, it's the interaction, it's the software driving the hardware. Have a space where you can work out. So it's fitness gear. So you've got some guy, lots of muscles, looking really great, doing 100 press-ups in 23 seconds. Wow, I'm impressed. Maybe I will buy some Nike clothes after I've seen that. That's the sort of thing we're talking about. Then they go, okay sir, now your turn. How many press-ups can you do in 20 minutes, in 20 seconds rather? 2, 4, and off you go. You have a try at it. So you get people involved in this stuff, so you're making your hardware run. Cooking, tasting things, just simple food tasting, sampling a product, having a photo with the product at the point of purchase. This is the person who I bought it from, and so on. I'm not saying you want to do it everywhere. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the palaces of consumption, that's not my phrase, it's a phrase of a person called George Ritzer, but the palaces of consumption, as well as our humble stalls, do need a way to make people stop at their shop. We do need more of this, I believe, and it's an opportunity which comes from seeing these tourist shopping villages. It comes from seeing the high levels of interaction amongst the soap makers and the people doing the photographic work and the painters and the people making the leather goods and so on. And if we get them to stop, they can possibly buy. And I'm going to say that the new research of this entertainment, engagement, mindfulness can also be quite structured and detailed, and it's a longer conversation with the people that are specialists here, but it can help assess and grow our accreditation systems. Now in Singapore you have Singapore Service Star as an accreditation system, and it's got some very good features, but I believe there's ways that accreditation system could be improved, augmented, by looking at some of these points that I've been raising. And I do want to conclude by suggesting to you that there are opportunities for this kind of future cooperation between this university and the people that I've been working with and our retail communities in Singapore. James Cook is an interesting place. It's full of all sorts of characters and interesting people, but we do have a tropical mission, and as I said before, I'm extremely pleased that we're here in Singapore, because for me it's a continuity of effort. So I think that some consulting and research advice are very possible as part of the totality of what we're trying to communicate. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I look forward to your questions. Yes, I think there's quite a realistic possibility. Thanks for your question. Making it sustainable could actually be a theme. You could actually use sustainability and set it up as a super green, super eco-friendly new style village. So there's those sorts of possibilities. And we're always attending to that issue of sustainability in 2010. It runs through everything we do in business, or it should do, but perhaps it's even a theme that could be explored some more. Thanks for your question.
Any other questions?
This is better than teaching in Italy. I'll tell you why. When I teach in Italy, it's a fascinating process. Obviously the audience looks a touch different to you folk, and that's all good, because they're full of style and glamour, and the girls have like hair everywhere, and the guys have 3-day growth, right? That's the way they look. But they cannot be quiet. Right? Like, you sort of start lecturing in Italy, and there's like that group's talking, that group's talking, that group's arguing, that group's arguing over there, and you go, I mean, like, I'm talking, guys, could you like please pay attention for a few minutes? And they go, yes, we will. And then they start arguing again with each other, right? So it's quite fascinating, the different levels of what people think is acceptable to do. And yeah, lots of interesting cultural, social differences in that issue. But please, more questions. I'm very pleased to be here and happy to try and answer your questions.
Yep. How do these shopping experiences start? Is it more like every shop itself should start to make a difference, or would it be helpful to have a third party to organize and coordinate everything? For example, you've been talking about fashion shows and so on.
Yeah. No, it's very sensible if groups of retailers can form some sort of forum, consortium, grouping, and from that grouping decide to do this as a special style of their area. Absolutely. So cooperative effort is more powerful than individual effort. Though I will say, some of the villages we went to were pioneered by individuals. There was one village which was pioneered by a person who ran the bakery and did a really fantastic job with the bakery, and then got everybody in the town involved after the bakery. There was another village that put on a cultural dance show, and that became the particular reason that people went to that village, and then the other shops kind of built up their attraction around the cultural dance show. So it can start with one entrepreneur, one sort of person with something of a vision, but for existing locations, I think cooperative effort amongst the retailers is the way to go. But also, of course, using the resources of the marketing people, say your tourist board or your local council or administrative body, they're important people too. Not just the business people, but the government people that can help the promotion. Good question, thank you. We have written 351 pages about this topic, and there are some references up there. We are publishing a book about it, so in a talk like this it's kind of intriguing trying to get some of the ideas across. We certainly do have a chapter on entrepreneurs and the way entrepreneurs are involved in stimulating this process. We have a lot of detail also about what you might call the microenvironment, trees and shrubs and plants and all those, how you set all that up in terms of information and signs and things like that, because that's part of making it people-friendly or easy to be in. So I've skipped over some of that technical stuff in an effort to sort of have you come away with the story that it's having a reason to go and then having an engaged software for the superb hardware of Singapore. They're the core ideas I'd love you to take away. Please.
Let me revisit the issue about the shopping village. I think it's very appealing. As I ponder over what you shared, I can't specifically think of any place in Singapore which is really engaging and unique along the lines that you have discussed. Probably one issue is climate. We have lots of shopping centres, and as you well know, they're distinct dishes by itself. I'm sure that being 1 degree north of the equator, we